meetings, and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
29th, 2025 meeting of the Exeter Budget Recommendations Committee. My name is Bob Kelly. I'm the chair of the committee and also on the Water and Sewer and DPW General Subcommittees. Yeah.
Anna Grazier, Vice Chair, and also on the General Government Subcommittee.
Oh, sorry, Melissa Roy is interim town manager. Sorry.
Evening, everyone. Corey Stevens, Finance Director.
Don Cludier, Fire and Police Subcommittee.
Judy Rowan, Police Fire Subcommittee Chair.
Steve Cronin, Public Works Director.
Jeff Beck, Public Works Maintenance Superintendent.
Andrew Elliott, DPW General Subcommittee.
And Amanda Kelly, she, her, General Government Subcommittee Chair and DPW General.
Okay, thank you. And off mic is Nancy Belanger, the representative for the Select Board. Thank you for attending. Okay, with us this evening are Steve Cronin and Jeff Beck from the Public Works Department. Steve is the director and Jeff is our maintenance supervisor. We'll be going over the DPW general budget found on page 22 of the budget book. Hopefully everyone's gotten a copy of the narrative that was sent around. We had a fairly, I think we actually have a quorum of this meeting tonight of people on that subcommittee. It was Amanda, Andrew, myself, as well as Dave Kovar and Liz Canada. Met with several members of the Public Works crew. Just like to start off by saying, similar to what Judy had said last week, is the shout out to our executive team of Melissa and Corey for really drilling down with the departments and coming up with a nice collaborative budget. There seemed to be, obviously it's a tough year and no one likes to get their budget, thank you, cut, but I think some of the creative mechanisms to allocate expenses have been met with understanding, if nothing else. So thank you to you two for beginning that work probably in June.
Earlier than that, but just.
So we'll just go down the budget like always. If people have any comments or questions, what we've done in our report is highlight items that jumped out at us as just that needed further explanation. So if there are other line items that people have questions about, feel free to raise your hand. So we'll begin on the administration part of the budget. The only item that we really had for discussion, you'll see that the 51110 salaries, full-time salaries, is down quite a bit. Two reasons for this. One is that the engineering tech position that has been open for quite a while, as we finally determined that we're not going to be filling that position. So the funding for that position was transferred over to the maintenance, to Jeff's maintenance department. And then also the town engineer retired earlier in the year. So we've hired someone at a less salary. So that is the reason. Is that's accurate? I think that's the way you explained it to me.
Well, we intend to hire somebody.
Intend to hire somebody. Got it. Who will be at a less salary than our long-standing town engineer. So that's why that budget is down quite a bit. Every other item seemed to be reasonable for what was going on in the department. Don.
Was the inability for us to get a tech because of money, or we just couldn't find one, or there wasn't one qualified?
It was twofold. It was difficult to find engineering tech candidates, also with the openings in engineering, both with the town engineer and the assistant town engineer. That person, had we hired them, would have had no one to report to. So looking at the organization as a whole and recognizing the needs that we had for Jeff's division, We did a little bit of reorganization, created a maintenance general foreman position underneath Jeff, and that now gives us consistent structure across all of our divisions, and also creates a little bit of a succession plan for us moving forward.
And also, we found that a lot of those entry-level people are not working for municipalities. They're working for engineering companies or utilities or whatever that generally pay a much better, a much higher salary, so, in general.
What, is it a civil engineer? Would they be a,
So there wouldn't need to be a registered PE. We're basically
Oh,
looking
that's
for
what you mean,
someone
a
working,
registered PE.
an engineer
Okay.
in training,
Yeah.
working towards their, eventually towards
yeah,
theirs.
okay,
Yep.
got it.
Any other questions? Judy?
With the position not being filled, or when you hire the engineer, would you then be looking for another tech?
So we still have the assistant engineer position. So ideally, we'd have the engineer, the assistant town engineer. A lot of the engineering tech's time is spent on infrastructure projects. So a lot of times, what we've relied on recently anyway is using, resident project engineers that are supplied by the engineering firms who are helping us with the design to oversee on-site construction activities. So we'd be relying on them to do that as part of a project, as opposed to having that person as a full-time staff.
Okay, so at this point, you're not anticipating gaps in the skill set that you need to get the department work done?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
No, our biggest struggle right now, I think, is the town engineer position. As Bob said, it's very difficult to compete with the private sector. We haven't been seeing the quality of applicants that we hope to see. That being said, we do have an interview actually tomorrow for a potential candidate, but, those qualified candidates have been few and far between.
Okay, Corey, do you have updated benefits numbers?
I do, thanks. So updated health number, 153,265, 153,265. Dental, 9,181, 9181. No other changes under benefits, however, administration gets allocated to water sewer, so I'll give you those new allocation numbers way down at the bottom of the PWA. Yep. So the allocation, the due from water fund will be minus 173,581. And then the same for sewer, 173,581 negative.
Okay, and the new 26 FY26 budget?
$546,093, 546,093.
On behalf of the subcommittee, I will move that budget for the FY26 administration budget.
Second?
Judy Rowan seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Highways and streets, go down about halfway, 55013, asphalt reclamation. It hasn't been spent for a couple of years. It's been about a $5,000 budget. What we end up doing is waiting until our reclaimed asphalt stockpile gets big enough that it makes sense for us to get a contractor in. And this is generally about what the budget is. Sometimes we reclaim more in some years than other years. And so that's why that hasn't been spent yet. We're hoping to get something by the end of the year from end of fall projects. And I think there was a discussion that if we did have projects that would be providing materials but not be able to get a contractor in quite yet, we might try to encumber some money into early next year. And that is something that Public Works generally has to deal with, because a lot of the work, we don't get our budget until March, obviously. Summer, there's a lot of traffic and things in town, so we can't do a lot of our road work projects until the late fall. And so a lot of times we have to encumber monies until the next fiscal year. Next item is 55020, bridge repairs. That, again, you see where that's, mostly spent already for the, for the year. Generally, this is more like maintenance than repairs, but it's, just keeping up with all the bridges that we have in town.
Quick question.
Sure.
Is the Park Street Bridge one of those 7?
No, it is not.
Thank you.
So you'll see on 55066, it says culvert repairs / replacement. If you look on last year's budget, there was a line 55067, which was the culvert replacement. The actual efforts sort of went back and forth between those two lines, depending on which ones had budget in it. They're effectively the same thing, maintaining the culverts that we have in town. So the two budgets were consolidated, so it's not really a request for $2,000 more. We actually eliminated, because we eliminated 55067, the budget on that was $5,000, so we've actually reduced the budget by about $3,000. So it was $8,000 total for the two lines last year, and it's $5,000 this year. So we supported that consolidation. Fuel, 55128. We're already over budget for the year. We talked a lot about what the trends were on usage. Back as recently as 2019, we were using double the diesel fuel that we currently use. Diesel fuel is generally at least $1, if not more, a gallon more expensive than regular gasoline. So, and diesel fuel a lot of times with heavy equipment and trucks is used to gain additional power, and we just don't have that kind of fleet anymore, typically. So we're transitioning, the vehicles that we've gotten over the last few years is unleaded gas. So it tends to be a little bit cheaper, but we're trying to manage the expenditures as best we can. But the bottom line is we're using a lot less fuel than we did 5 or 6 years ago. Tree maintenance. Again, if anyone has questions, feel free to jump right in. Sure.
Well, on the gas, when we hire the subcontractors in the winter to do the plowing,
that's under the snow removal budget.
but the gas, is this gas part of that?
No.
No. That's a separate.
Yeah, they get paid a flat fee, and then that.
Oh, it's their
and they
fault.
pay for,
Okay,
they're
got it.
contractors. But there is a line in the snow removal budget for fuel. So there's a gross number, and then it gets allocated
I got you.
to snow removal, and then whatever's left is in this line. If you go to the next page, tree maintenance at the top, 55310, you can see where that's significantly underspent. The primary reason is with the drought conditions that we've had this year. We didn't feel that it was prudent to go planting a lot of trees and then not being able to water them. And it wouldn't be good optics if we were out there watering new trees while everybody else was on a water restriction diet. So we're hoping to, do some plantings, but, we're getting down toward the end of the year. What's the time frame? One of the things we talked about was encumbering money, because there'll be a lot of money left over. And there's a commitment on behalf of the town as well as certainly Public Works to do this. So if we had those monies into next year, then we can buy more trees. Is there a statute of limitations? Like, is it 6 months that you have to spend the money or
Nope.
3 months?
We just have to encumber it before the end of the year, which means we either have to have incurred some sort of service, or we have to have bought some stuff that we
Right.
can say we will get in the spring. They're trees, I would think in this case, but we have to have purchased and have a commitment to pay somebody before the end of the year. So we can work through what that looks like.
I mean,
but-
it sounded like Jay was open to
Yeah,
that.
so we could purchase trees from a nursery and
Right.
have them hold them for us,
Yeah.
essentially.
We'll start that
Once
process
the-
in the first part of December of talking about okay, who's
Excellent.
got.
Well, the subcommittee wanted to push that again, because this was a program that really we had a lot of discussion about it a few years ago and felt very strongly about it. And obviously, you can't help the drought conditions, but it'd be nice to use that money and even lump it into next year and do even more, so. That's where we came down on that. The road paving item, 55251, you can see it's going up, or projected to go up, planned to go up $75,000. We had cut this budget severely during COVID, and we've been trying to slowly inch its way up without ripping the Band-Aid off too much, but we're trying to get up into that more 800,000 to $1 million range if we can, which is what the studies have shown a town of our size needs to be spending to keep their roads from falling apart. So we'll be adding a little over 10% to that budget this year, with support by the subcommittee. Sidewalks, 55266. We had cut it last year by $5,000. Lack of expenditures. There've been a move over the last couple of years to make sidewalk refurbishments and renewals as part of our paving projects, if that's possible. So we haven't had a lot of, as much of a need to redo sidewalks. We sort of said, well, let's do it one more year and see if we can, figure this out. But for now, we're going to recommend keeping the budget the way it is.
Is this an item that may increase, or would it require a special warrant article? In the past, we've discussed making Exeter a walkable town, and so if we were to continue with that effort, would it be done through warrants or just adding to this?
Well, we have a sidewalk fund
Yeah.
that we use,
So how's that different from this?
well, it's like the rec fund and the snow removal fund. It's an additional pot of money in case something big comes along that the budget won't support.
Okay, so
It's
we
a savings
have
account.
that fund, and then sidewalks are being folded into the paving.
Yeah, when we do
projects.
utility projects and they dig up the road, like they did in School Street, and they're going to be doing on, what was your?
Epping. Oh,
your
Salem.
Salem Street, sorry.
Yeah.
School Street's probably going to be next year. But they rip up the road and, trash people's yards, putting in the services and everything, but then they come back and they make sidewalks as part of the rejuvenation of the roads and everything. So it's not a separate sidewalk expenditure, it's part of the contract.
Okay.
So
So we've been making a move in that direction.
the sidewalk funds in your operating budget are more to repair
Yes.
something that's kind of decayed. But for example, the sidewalk fund that Bob is referencing, we used $160,000 to finish up the expansion of sidewalks on Kingston Road a year ago. So that's a difference in the way that the funds get used sometimes.
Okay. So this is just for minor patching and
Yes.
repair?
Yep, small one-off
You're right.
repairs. Yep. typically as part of the pavement management program, if we're repaving a road that has an existing sidewalk with it,
Right.
we'll reconstruct that sidewalk or overlay it as part of that work, and that'll usually end up in the paving budget as opposed to the sidewalk budget.
Like what happened on Drinkwater, redid the sidewalk.
Correct,
Which
yes.
they didn't when they did our street,
Which street was that?
Prentice.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why.
It was a couple of years ago.
Predates me, but I know.
Before you, yeah.
The projects we've done in the last few years, and the one that we have planned actually in the next few weeks, we will be repairing and overlaying those sidewalks as part of that work.
Corey, can you tell us what the capital reserve fund is at?
I can, actually. Literally, just 65. Hold on one second. I just had that open. Yeah, with the commitment to Kingston Road, there's about 67,000 in it as of the end of '24. And I don't think we had an infusion of money in '25. There was no warrant this early out.
And we don't have it on for this year
No.
either.
Thank you.
Yes.
And is the actual still 0 on that to date?
Yes.
So storm drain cleaning, 55284, the last item in this section. We do most of the work in this in-house, which is why there's a slight reduction. The department requested keeping some monies in there because the equipment that we have to hire if we have to sub this out to a contractor is quite expensive. And so we wanted to keep some money in the budget in case they need to do that. But we are doing a lot of that work in-house, and we have been shifting in that direction.
So this is not one of the areas that's been impacted by staff shortage? They've been able to continue?
No, we've
this?
actually, because of the mild winters we've had the past few years, we've been able to use some of those resources that would normally be plowing in late winter, early spring, to get a jump start on catch basin cleaning for the year. So rather than outsource the entire program where the equipment's been available, we've had favorable weather, we've been able to do some of that in-house. With every town basically trying to meet the obligations of their MS4 permits, it's difficult to find contractors to do that type of work outside. It's, depending on demand, it can be hit or miss. So we're fortunate that we've been able to do it, but I think it's probably going to be year to year, depending on how the winter goes.
And we bought a new Vector truck in the last year or two, 3?
Yeah, 3 years ago. I
3
think.
years ago.
For that.
And then the one before that was 8 years. They tend to go about 8 years.
Thank you.
I think there's another one slated for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, so we do track through GIS all the catch basins that are clean, the amount of material that comes out. The idea is that we're trying to optimize that program as much as possible and only target those catch basins that need to be cleaned routinely so that we can be as efficient as possible in that work. And that way we're not having to visit every single catch basin every year to open it and check it. We have a good history there that'll tell us, we know these particular areas need to be cleaned more frequently. And that way, we can hopefully absorb the majority of that in-house.
Great. So Corey, updated benefits numbers.
Yes, updated health number for highway, 274,269, 274,269. Updated dental, 14,437, 14437. Total benefits, 469,074, 469,074.
And the new total for highway?
Total highway, 2,322,274, 2,322,274.
On behalf of the subcommittee, I will move that number for the highways and streets budget. 26.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. On to snow removal. The only item really that we had, well, there's the fuel, but the contracted snow removal, 55061, you'll see we usually have just a placeholder in there because some winters for years, we didn't use this. Last year, if you recall, well, actually earlier this year, we had a big storm, I think at the end of January. And then it got warm, and then it got really cold, and there were the sidewalks, and the interface between the streets and the sidewalks it's a little dicey. The problem is that this number here, $11,315, it was one night of contracted snow removal, because we can't do it during the day because the town is functioning downtown. So you have to do it when there's no traffic, and the merchants downtown don't want this to even be early in the morning. So it's got to be basically midnight to like 5 o'clock. So we're paying double time or worse to these contractors if indeed they're even available. It's expensive is the bottom line. So $10,000 to $12,000 per removal. The reason why we did one night and not more was purely a budget. At the time, we had about $180,000 or so in the snow and ice fund. Obviously, we could have tapped into it, but obviously in January, there's no indication as to what the rest of the winter is going to be like. So an executive decision was made to not use any more of these funds to remove snow. As a result, there was quite a bit of, let's say, pushback from merchants downtown, and so we're going to be reviewing the policies of the department will be reviewing with the finance department and the executive team what the criteria might be for pulling the trigger on a couple of more snow removal nights. So that will be happening off the grid. Any other comments or questions on snow removal? That's all we had. As I mentioned, the fuel is part of the overall fuel usage by Public Works, and it gets allocated in a reasonably scientific way to this line item.
Is there, what is the cost for snow removal during the day? What is the difference? Is there a big savings?
I don't know if we've ever tried it, just because there wouldn't be. We just never have wanted to tell people.
The logistics.
It's
Logistics are tough.
extremely difficult.
Yeah, because people are parking.
And it's not safe. When we have, a light night, $11,000 is a light night
Yeah.
of snow removal. That's
Yeah.
just several trucks. When we have a night when we have 12-plus trucks running, that's 12 triaxles running around town, plus all of our guys, plus several pieces of our equipment.
Yeah.
And occasionally contractors' equipment, depending on the night and the volume that we're hauling. So when all of that is happening, it's a lot going on, and to have traffic going on around it. We're lucky. We do dead ends, corners, intersections where there's large snow piles. We will do those smaller areas in a more contained manner during the daylight hours. That's the kind of snow removal we do during the day. But a wholesale snow removal here on Front Street and in front of the schools and Lincoln Street, Main Street, Portsmouth Ave, all of those roads, too much traffic during the day. We're usually starting to get off the road between 5 and 6 a.m. And by 6 a.m., when the traffic starts rolling, we can't do anything. We got to be done.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I can't remember who it was, though, during our subcommittee meeting, who did say a number that it was 3 times more expensive at night than during the day.
That's because, as Steve said, the contractors have to pay their guys overtime, and their guys have already been working overtime the same way we have during the daylight hours to do their regular snow plowing routes, because that's their gravy during the winter months. They're not, once the ground's frozen, those contractors that do that hauling for us are not working and digging in the
Right.
ground,
So it's two separate issues, though. Enna's question, how much does it cost more at night? It does cost 3-ish times more.
Yep.
Doing it during the day has other considerations besides cost.
There are many
that
more
can be discussed.
considerations during the day.
Yeah,
So-
logistics are, I think, even more of an issue than the cost.
EXTV did a good job this year putting a video together, kind of showing the entire operation downtown, but usually it involves trailer dumps lined up in a convoy, and we're loading with a snow blower. So we're putting a parking ban in place, we're getting all the vehicles out of the way, we're pushing the snow from the snowbanks and the sidewalks into the road, creating windrows, and then loading vehicles, from 11 PM till, 6 o'clock the next morning. So to do it during the day, it would be difficult, obviously, to work around vehicles. You have vehicles now close to, intersections, sidewalks. Frankly, it would probably paralyze the town and really make it impossible to get around. We'd likely need police details if that were the case. We would, again, need a parking ban in place. It would probably affect businesses and their ability to have clientele on that day. So it would be extremely challenging, I think, to do it during the day.
Corey, I did have, oh, sorry, Judy, you want to go?
I had a question on, mechanic is under 51300, salary, wages, overtime, snow, includes the mechanic. So the mechanic is under a different part of the budget, and when there's a lot of snow removal, some of his time is allocated to this line, or how does it?
Correct. Some of the, typically if we have a plow event or a long sand and ice event, we'll have a mechanic come in and work on overtime to basically fix equipment that goes down during the storm. They may assist by plowing the parking lot or loading vehicles with salt during that event. So they're not always part of the actual plowing operation, but they're there in support of the plowing operation.
Thank you.
Andrew?
I just was wondering what we had in the snow and ice reserve.
119,000 right now. Actually, I'll take that back. We have 187,000 right now, but I'm 68,000 over budget, so I'm going to tap at least 68,000 of the snow and ice budget deficit fund coming into the year. That's if, Steve, we don't have any more snow for the rest of this year and we get lucky. So 119,000 if
It's still-
everything were to stay as it is today.
Correct.
At the end of the year. Does that make sense? That's it, yeah.
Yeah. I was just making sure that was still accurate.
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't look like there are any health
there are
benefits
no
to
changes
this
to anything.
environment, so the 289, 238 stands.
That's the bottom line on snow removal.
Okay, I will move that number for the FY '26.
Second.
Andrew Elliott seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. On to solid waste disposal, page 25. We had discussed the blue bag situation last year. A few years ago, we almost ran out, bumped up the budget on this and have taken a closer look at inventory and usage and all that, so we're in pretty good shape, according to the department at this point. And we didn't have anything, actually we did.
The total expense on Blue Bag year to date is 110,000.
Okay.
Do we make money? It's break even
We don't even break.
on the blue.
Not
Bag.
even break even.
It subsidizes the recycling contract, so in making money, yes, we
We charge
make money
more.
by on getting the blue bags, but it just goes into as a revenue, and it's way less than the disposal contract. So it's just helping to defray the cost.
But the $5 or $6 or whatever it is I pay, where
$250.
the town isn't paying.
Right, we get all of that as revenue. The
Except
vendors
for-
that sell them don't make anything on that. At least that's the way it used to be. I don't think it's changed.
No, so the production cost to actually make the bags and hold the inventory is lower than what we charge.
Yeah, it's a couple bucks or
Right.
whatever the
Right.
case, yeah,
So
okay.
the difference between that is essentially the revenue.
All right, yes, that's what, all I was.
Okay, so household hazardous waste, 55150. We just had the event a couple of weeks ago. It occurs every year in October out at Public Works. The costs are generally in that $30,000 to $35,000 range. Historically, we end up paying it, and then the towns reimburse us. We have not gotten the bill for that yet, but the event has occurred. I don't think we have the bill yet, is that?
So we just sent out the invoices to
Just
the
sent them
towns.
out.
We haven't
Okay.
collected the revenue yet.
But we have-
That usually streams
it has
in
occurred.
towards the end of the calendar year.
So for reference, we've taken in about $400,000 in blue bag revenue so far this year, spent 110.
Oh,
So
there
it's
you go.
help-
That's what I,
So it's helping with the large.
yes, it's helping the big
A
picture.
larger, yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure how disposal recycling contract got out of sequence here, but 55082, the contract, you'll see that has gone up about 10%. Not anything that anyone has done, it's just the annual rate increase and surcharges. Department of Environmental Services has added their own little surcharge that goes into effect next year to pay for various programs that they have. The subcommittee looked at this and talked at length with the department, and I put some numbers in the report to sort of chew on. It costs us almost double to recycle materials that we have in the blue bins as it does to put the material in the blue bags. So we're going to start taking a look at this with the Sustainability Committee and just sort of figure out over the next year, how we want to go ahead on the recycling program, because it's costing us a lot of money. And there's a sort of a sense that we're not really recycling that much. There are no markets for 2/3 of what we collect. And so we're not sure really what happens to that stuff because there's nowhere for it to go. So we're going to take a hard look at that. I've talked to Chris Sigmont, who is on the Sustainability Committee, and they're on board to really take a deep dive into this and work with the department, try to figure out maybe making some changes to that program. Because right now, the way it's been working for the last several years is we're not getting our money's worth like we thought back in 1989 when we started the program. Incredibly, I was around for that.
Were you share?
Well, you're
I
older than
remember
dirt,
buying
we all
my
know
blue
that.
bin.
As Bob pointed out, there's going to be a lot to discuss as far as trash and recycling goes moving forward. A lot of the companies like Waste Management are really trying to get away from manual collection, want to go to fully automated collection with carts and toters. So I think you're starting to see a lot of towns migrate in that direction, but it's a big,
What does that mean?
basically you have trucks that pick up carts that are distributed by the town or the municipal or the
Vendor.
company itself that work on basically a lifting arm that are designed to work directly with
The big blue recycling.
Yeah.
wheel
Yeah, the
wheel
toters.
ones.
Yeah.
If
So
they were
right now,
all-
those are for recycling. And what these companies, because they're
Yeah.
dealing with staff shortages too, so they can have one guy driving a truck and it's all automated. So versus now, they need 2 or 3 folks on a truck to do the leftover blue bins as well as the blue bags.
Yeah.
So the next contract will probably see that the blue bags are going away. And so we'll have 2 big totes there, one for trash and one for recycling. So we need to figure out, how that works. Because right now, there's a huge contamination issue
You could still
on
put-
recycling.
You could still put the blue bags in the toter, just saying.
Yeah, so
could.
yeah.
You could.
There are a lot of different approaches out there the towns have taken. Some have gone to just totes, one tote for trash, one for recycling, and then they allow people to purchase an additional tote for overflow. There are some towns that are doing totes with blue bags as overflow bags, totes with all the blue bags going into them. So there's a lot of different models out there, and I think we just need to look at what's going to be best for us. It's going to be a significant change. I think Dover has decided to go fully automated, and they're going to phase out blue bags over a period of time as opposed to just starting the program right off the bat. So
I definitely would like to see the cost benefit analysis though, because I'm assuming there'll be a cost decrease if we go with all toters, and it might make sense to take a one-time, maybe a warrant article that says, would you prefer to, switch everything to toters, and then the town, even we pick up, like we buy one-time buy of 16,000 toters. How many houses we have in town?
16,000 people.
65.
People, I don't know, how many houses we have.
6,500.
6,500 toters, one-time deal.
Would there also be an education effort?
A huge education, just like there was in the 80s to get into recycling. Yeah, it would be a lot. That's why, but the contract's up at the end of 26, right, Steve?
in 27.
In 27.
Midway, I think, through 27.
So as the markets stand now, we're going to probably have a very large increase just based on what's going on now. And then when you add in all these other operational things, we could be looking at a $2 million contract. And so in the face of that, we need to look at what do we really want to be accomplishing here? And having, the toters, and that's something that needs to be looked at. I think Jay was up first.
Do we have any updated data on how effective it is on the recycling side? I mean, not anecdotal, because I've heard like 9% of that material. Because you're right, if the markets are drying up and we're really not, I don't want to throw stuff in landfills, I'm not for that, but it seems like right now we have a system that creates 85% to 90% gets diverted and then goes right back in, maybe not our landfills, but goes.
They go somewhere. Because
Yeah.
if
Is there any
a
actual
lot of them were
data
going to
that-
China, and now that's not an
That's
option.
how effective is this recycling in terms of actually having it as this program?
For the town, no, we don't have great data. Our existing contract didn't require the vendor to collect those type of metrics. I don't have
Good, I'll tell you,
anything.
it's fantastic.
I don't have anything from other towns at this point, but we'll be reaching out as part of this effort to try to get some of that information. Obviously, we're interested in looking at those recyclables that have the most value versus those ones that don't, and the cost to maybe dispose of those as opposed to recycling.
Like
So-
narrowing down to what's actually effectively recycled.
Right.
That's the big question. Do we just do aluminum cans and high-end paper?
Yeah, cardboard.
And cut the stuff that plastics really haven't had a market for 20 years, so.
Right.
Yet we're still collecting milk jugs and
When you were a
soda
wee
jugs.
cub,
What's that?
when you were a wee little cub.
When we
Yeah,
little
right.
budget committee come. Chris?
Two questions. The first one is like places like Maine where they have you separate everything as far as recycling goes to make sure you're not slipping in on your garbage with your aluminum cans. Wondering about, is that something that can happen in New Hampshire is my first question. My second question is if we made the change to having those two totes, if it's called totes, big cans, how long does that take to implement, including the time to educate and all that stuff?
So to the first question, I'm sure we could. I think most vendors prefer single stream because it requires fewer trucks. They can just pick up the single tote, not have to sort it, and then it all happens at a materials recovery center. Would it cut down on contamination? Possibly. I don't know for sure. The second question, I think it would depend on how we structured the program. We could roll it out so that all those toters were distributed ahead of, changing the structure, or it could be, again, be done in a phased approach. I know some communities have built into their contract recycling of the existing totes as part of that distribution. So basically, anybody who had maybe, the small totes that they use now could bring those to Public Works, drop those off, have those recycled, and then get their new tote and bring it with them to their house. So there's a couple different ways to do that. But there would definitely be a public outreach component as part of that.
Like, what would be the shortest amount of time? I mean, I know you can't give me an exact answer, even close. Put it this way, the contract ends, you said mid-27?
Yep.
Is it possible to have the change rate?
If we were going to make the change, we would ultimately want to have all those out and distributed prior to the new
Right.
contract taking effect.
Right.
So it
Is
would
it-
probably take, to get all those out, a couple of weeks to a few months. So we
Okay.
need to be out ahead of that.
So it could happen
Yes.
before we had that, pay that,
But I think
sign
that's
off
all
a
going
new
to be part of
contract.
that cost-benefit analysis and ultimately the model that we decide to go with and what that
Yeah.
contract looks like.
I know you guys don't have a lot of bandwidth to have somebody focused on researching all this.
Right.
So that doesn't make it any
Well, the
easier.
Sustainability Committee is actually taking the bull by the horns. They're going up to Waste Management and take a
Okay.
view of that facility, and they've actually started, because they came to the same conclusion that we did, that this is not working and we need to get out ahead of it. So they're
Okay.
trying to work with DPW and get some of that information, because there is this sense that if things don't have markets, where is the stuff going? And
Yeah.
we're not getting answers from our vendors, so we're going to try to figure it out.
Right, yeah, I feel like with our budget issues and, again, where we've seen things going for years now, that there's definitely a sense of urgency to make some changes.
Yep.
So I just didn't know if that was even possible before the new contract has to be signed, and I'm really happy here sustainability's on top of that.
I actually was going to ask about single stream. Maybe we look at 3 totes, but you sort of answered that already, so. I know Dan had a question.
Dan,
Chartrand.
Chartrand? That Dan.
Hey, I know we're not supposed to speak, but I am the select board rep to the Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Oh, good.
So what we're really talking about here is what would happen sometime mid-2027. That's pretty much on the beam. There's a longer-term issue that the landfill is probably going to close nearby.
Oh, yeah.
And then all this would need to be trucked somewhere else, which would create much more expense. So there's a longer-term issue that Sustainability Advisory would like to work on as well with DPW, and we've indicated that through our staff side support, Kristen. And she's talked to Steve and his department. There's a longer-term issue where we really need to just take a hard look at not just how we're doing it now, but where do we want to go in the future? And is curbside pickup the way to do this, the most efficient way to do this? There's a lot of towns in New Hampshire that don't have curbside pickup. They have a transfer station, citizens bring things to those stations. There's a lot more control in terms of segmenting things and finding the value and cutting down on what goes to the landfill. So that's not for mid-2027 by any means, but that is kind of a longer, a second stage, longer-term thing that Sustainability Advisory is looking at. And just to kind of throw that in there, because this is a significant portion of our budget.
Yep.
It's currently, 5-6% of the overall municipal budget, roughly, just ballparking it. So
Yeah.
we're very supportive of what DPW is doing in terms of negotiating the contract changeover in mid-27, but we are also thinking even more kind of rethinking how we do this in terms of, do we really want to do this curbside, or do we want to go to a transfer station scenario long-term for when that landfill is gone and these costs would just skyrocket?
Right. Well, the big issue for us was that we haven't changed what we recycle in 35 years. And yet, and back in those days, there were markets for milk jugs and soda jugs. You could make things out of them, and now those markets have gone away. So, volume-wise alone, we're paying huge money just to deal with that stuff.
The key, though, is to get some control on the recycling side and really start to segment out and try to find where the values are. Anyway.
And 2027 isn't that far away, so I mean, it's like to have that.
That's not the game for 2027.
No, I'm saying, but to have a strategy for what's next by the time that comes, it's good to jump on that and have an idea of.
Yeah, that was the recommendation.
Yeah.
Kristen's done a great job of being a liaison with Steve and his departments.
So as Dan mentioned, the state as a whole has kind of reached a tipping point with landfill space, and it's going to be an issue moving forward. As Bob said, the state is implementing a $3.50 per ton surcharge this year for all trash. The idea is to try to keep out-of-state trash from coming in. That'll get charged to everybody, and then those fees that are collected from New Hampshire municipalities will come back to the town in the form of a rebate. At least that's what we're being told. So, we'll see that cost initially. We've built that into our budget here. But, when you're talking about recycling, it's a double-edged sword. If we're not recycling those things and we're landfilling them, we're filling up that space faster and creating an issue down the road. So a lot to unpack there for sure.
My apologies for jumping in, Mr. Chair.
No, not sure where. We would love to hear from you guys, so don't ever feel that you don't
We try
have to
keep
speak.
our mouths closed.
Any other comments or questions? So no benefits on solid waste? Is that?
No change to the bottom line.
Okay, I will move on behalf of the subcommittee. Solid waste total of $1,767,360.
Second?
Amanda Kelly seconds. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Streetlights on page 26. More of a comment than anything else. This continues to go down as we had changed to LED bulbs 6 years ago in all of the streetlights and continue to be reaping the benefits of that conversion. Any questions? On behalf of the subcommittee, I will move a budget of $140,000 for streetlights.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Stormwater. The contracted services, last year we did a pretty good job of spending most of our budget. We're somewhat underspent so far this year, generally due to staff availability and availability of contractors if we need them. We still have the work to do, part of our MS4 permit, and keeping the catch basins clean and the drains. So the work is there. It's just a question of getting the people to do it. So we did not feel compelled to change that budget regardless of how it was spent. Catch basin replacement, we actually did have some comments on this. We had budgeted years ago to have 7 catch basins replaced every year. They haven't, the last time we spent the budget was in '22. And so, and every year it really is a staff availability. We have a lot of things to do. We've had vacancies in many areas of public works for years. So the subcommittee recommended that until we can get the staffing to adequately redo these, we recommended reducing this line to $10,000.
Quick question.
Sure.
I mean, it's probably neither here nor there, but is there a reason the storm drain cleaning is in Public Works and separate from stormwater? How are these, how is this section different from the other aspect of maintenance?
The other ones were considered to be part of highways. I mean, it's splitting hairs, I think.
Yeah.
To your point, it is a stormwater-related activity.
Yes.
It's something that we're required to do by our permit. I don't know sort of the genesis of the stormwater budget and why it didn't end up there to begin with, but it really could live in either place. Right now, it's typically done by highway staff using highway equipment, so there's definitely a connection there. But, yeah. A lot of towns that have gone to maybe fee-based stormwater, you don't see it as much in New Hampshire as you do in Massachusetts. They really try to fund the program entirely through fees, and they put all those activities in the stormwater budget to reflect that. Here, where it's funded by the general fund, I think it's a little less clear where that's happening. So.
Any other comments?
Sometimes these things are driven by the state chart of accounts. I was going to look up, but that would be my first thought is there's a stormwater section to the state form that we fill out after when we tell them what our budgets are for the year.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the subcommittee, I will move reducing line 55386, catch basin replacement, to $10,000.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And that would bring the new budget to $74,360. Is that right?
Stormwater?
Yeah,
1 second.
if I did my math right. Reduced by 18,000.
$74,360.
So on behalf of the subcommittee, I will move the number of $74,360 for stormwater.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Okay, on to maintenance, page 27. Just a note, the allocation, reason why the salaries full-time have gone up so much is the reallocation of that engineering maintenance or tech to now be called a maintenance tech. That's why the addition. Everything else is seems to be appropriate, in our opinion, seem to be fairly appropriately budgeted. I guess maintenance projects are a separate thing. Any comments or questions on the Public Works maintenance budget?
I
New.
have a question on
Oh, sure.
51310 salary wages standby. I'm thinking of the fire department's on-call staff, and they've had a hard time over the years. The people they can call upon have decreased in numbers. Is the same thing happening? Is it, do you have people you could call on?
Yep,
on a
so
regular basis?
our on-call program is required in the CBA with our union employees, so if they're a maintenance employee, they have to be part of the rotation.
I see.
So
they're not outside people that you call
right,
upon?
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
New health numbers, Corey?
Yes.
For maintenance?
New health insurance, 77,596, 77596. New dental number, 5,214, 5214. New total benefits, 156,856, 156,856.
And total maintenance?
Total maintenance is 672,226, 672,226.
And what's the increase on that?
Well, 1 second. Oh, 16%?
15?
16.
16. Most of which was that
Moving it.
reallocation. So on behalf of the subcommittee, I will move a budget of $672,226 for Public Works maintenance.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So
I just
vote.
had a question on the health insurance, an explanation. That went up so much because the maintenance
Tech.
person was moved into that line?
Because we have another person in the department from before. So it wasn't just the existing crew, there was a whole other person added to this.
Okay. It's a big jump.
And deducted from
And deducted from the highways, I mean, the admin budget.
And that's a position we are looking to fill, not filled, correct, Steve?
Yes.
Which means that we are taking an educated guess on what they're gonna want for a health plan, which means it's very likely we put in a family plan, which is the person could show up and need a single, and that number would come down by 10,000+ or more. So.
Or they opt out, come down
opt
even
out,
more.
And we pay them a buyout.
Yeah.
Okay, we did not have any comments specifically on town buildings. These are the various maintenance bills and utility bills for the various buildings in town. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I will move the amount of $331,007 for town buildings budget.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Maintenance projects. Historically, this has been $100,000, and Jeff Beck and his crew chip away at a laundry list of projects that are endemic to a town with 50 to 100-year-old infrastructure or more, so there's always something to do. This year, there is was a proposal by the Facilities Advisory Committee to conduct a townwide space needs assessment for $50,000 that would include, looking at all of our buildings, including buildings that we have staff in that are going to be moved. For instance, the police and fire station, the rec building at 32 Court Street, and that sort of thing. And we'll look at, are those buildings meeting our needs? Are they the highest and best use for the town of Exeter's staff, et cetera, et cetera. So the select board supported this. The plan is to fund this out of the maintenance projects budget. So next year, the maintenance projects budget will actually be $50,000. But as you can see, it's somewhat underspent, so there may be some monies encumbered from this year into next year to assist in that budget.
And Bob, if I may.
Sure.
It's the facilities committee that supported this. It gets brought back to the select board after you guys do it.
Oh, okay. I thought that you guys or the select board had already talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. So, I guess having said that, the subcommittee supported the allocation of funds within the maintenance project budget to conduct this study. Any questions?
Just a quick one.
Sure.
Are the maintenance projects underspent because of lack of staffing? Or something else?
No, it's more that we have projects in the pipeline that we're just working to accomplish. So some of those are still scheduled through the end of the year. Some of those will probably be encumbered. We had a project for, I believe, the town hall stairs that was planned for this year that's going to be delayed due to contractor availability, but not necessarily our staff, but contractors that we rely on, yes.
Thank you.
Just had one question.
Sure.
About so I know like Bureau Veritas did the other study. Are they sort of like shoehorned in for this study as well? Or how do people sign up for a study? Like, are these bidded through our normal process? Or with it being a warrant article, I know things are bidded, but this not being a warrant article, could this just
I
be
believe
allocated?
the idea is that we would be working with the facilities committee to draft some sort of RFP or RFQ.
And those just go on our town
solicit.
website, I'm guessing?
Yes, or through.
We have a purchasing
NHMA.
policy that we have to follow, which is over $25,000, it has to be a sealed bid, correct? So, yeah, so we would always follow that.
Would this
No
needs
shoreline.
assessment include the Parks and Rec Port Street building?
Yes.
All the big companies
Yes.
know.
That's the 22 or 32
I don't
courts.
I've never seen it on the
Seen
is it on,
what?
like requests for proposals. How do those go out?
So they go,
There's a site- sorry.
it's okay, there's a page on our website.
just
that
literally,
you
okay,
put
I
it-
just haven't
that-
found it.
Yeah, so right, I can show it to you after this, right afterwards if you want. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to see
And
what
then-
we're bidding right now.
Some of our larger infrastructure projects, like the West Side Drive project or School Street, that bidding process typically gets handled by our engineering consultant. So it'll get advertised in the newspaper or in NHMA, but they will go to that engineer's website to get the contract documents and things like that. So depending on the project, it may or may not end up on our procurement page.
Interesting.
You may see it advertised on the project page itself, but if the bid documents are not available through us and through a third party, then it'll usually be there.
Should put them all on the procurement page. I mean, who knows how hard these contractors are trying to get good pricing for our projects, and our projects are all very expensive. When I look at how much West Side Drive is in terms of just engineering costs, it blows my mind every time I see those numbers.
Yeah, our pipeline projects used to cost $1 million each, now they're $6
Yeah.
million. And it wasn't that long ago, they were $1 million, so, yeah.
So I don't know how we
It's crazy.
how we try to advertise these projects better, but I feel like we're just not getting enough. I don't know, or maybe there's just not enough people that want to do the job. It could be a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's
mostly
the numbers
the
are
latter.
crazy.
It's
Yeah,
mostly the latter.
Yeah, we don't see the typical bidding volume that we used to see in the past. You used to get maybe 10 to 12 contractors bidding on a project. They're so full of work that they're just not going after maybe projects that they don't see as valuable to them, so.
Price fixing going on. I mean, we got some people I gotta talk to.
I mean, not
It was-
I mean, there was just such a glut of infrastructure money out there that, they just got hard up for work,
Right.
so.
Yeah, there was all the Make America Better bills and things, or infrastructure, and all those other ones. Sorry about that. I just want to. Anything you can do to advertise our projects better,
We would
so
love
that
to
we
see
can.
lower prices.
Yeah, because they're just big numbers.
We advertise them statewide and all newspapers and all.
Newspapers?
Yep.
Are you kidding me? Who's looking at a newspaper?
Contractors.
Some of
Sometimes that's
it's
required.
It's required. in
Yeah.
some
Union leader,
instances. Yeah.
actually, not the snooze letter. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's grant funding involved with SRF, they're pretty specific where we have to advertise, so we
On the
obviously have to
newspaper?
follow those rules.
I feel like
and
we
yes,
should update the
some of
rules a
them are
little bit
antiquated.
because.
You gotta check
Go
the
for it,
state
run
of
for
New Hampshire
office,
for that.
Andrew.
I know you got new.
Well, I know. I
Run
think
for
we get
office.
some select board members who are on our and could propose bills like that. So.
Some of
right.
our more
Right, your
recent
select
projects,
board
we've actually
member.
reached out to contractors that we've used recently to try to
Get a bigger bid.
get their interest, and it's been challenging.
Okay, I'm going to respond to Andrew just to help you guys out a little bit. I work for Somersworth, the state, and for Durham, and a lot of times the smaller projects, bigger contractors weren't even going to bid on them. They were focused on the bigger contracts. That was definitely a problem. And there were times that we put stuff out for bid multiple times, and there would be like no bites because it was just, and sometimes, and I'm not saying it's Exeter, but, certain communities, if they don't like, if they have a feeling that their bid's not going to be considered, or it's going to be, they're going to be too high for a community or such and such, then they won't bother for that reason. So there's so many things that go into it, but yeah, and this was, I haven't, worked in that, in economic development for a while, and that was an issue, a number of years ago. So it wasn't just these last 2 years. It's been building for years, as far as not getting the kind of bids you used to get. Now, depending, maybe
About starting a contracting company.
Yeah, you might want to. Well, first you got to find people to work for you.
Finding the help.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause that's what.
Exactly.
There's a lot of attrition
Yep.
in the blue collar trades.
Yep.
And those are all the people
Yep.
that are doing all the work for
Yep.
these contractors.
And that's
Plus,
another part, right?
There's a lot of contractors that just, the number of contractors doing the type of work that a municipality needs done, or anybody
Mm-hmm.
in this business needs done, has dwindled from what it was even 10 years ago.
Here,
Yep.
immigrants are really good for that.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
I mean,
I'm just going to wheel your chair right out of the room.
sometimes grant funding as well can be a turnoff to contractors because there's so many requirements and stipulations.
Oh, yeah.
Like American Iron and Steel and BABA and all that type of stuff that becomes very cumbersome for them to manage.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they'd rather get in, make their money, and get out sometimes.
Yeah, you may not even have, like you said, might not be enough competition to have more than two bids. That they may be the only two contractors that even do the work. So you're not going to get 4, 5, 6 bids. There's only two. So there is
It's tough out there.
it's a lot of layers.
Bundle projects.
All right, I will move for the subcommittee the budget of $100,000 for maintenance projects. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Anna Grazer seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Mechanics Garage.
I'm going to vote the total maintenance / buildings total,
Sure.
which is just right below total
Yeah.
maintenance. So 1,103,233, 1103233.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we did not have anything specific for mechanics and garage. If anyone has a question, we'll certainly discuss.
So I will say this is probably one of our hardest hit departments in the past couple of years, but we're finally starting to make progress. We had a mechanic who actually started on Monday for a position that's been open for almost 2 years now, probably more than. Yeah. We extended an offer earlier this week to a lead mechanic as well, which has been verbally accepted. So they're in the hiring process now. So we're encouraged, but with that would leave open just the maintenance general foreman position that we discussed earlier. So that would put Jeff on some good footing, hopefully, for next year.
Good. Updated numbers, Cor?
So starting with the full-time wages, 51110. New number is 184,975, 184,975. New health total, 55,767. New dental, 623. New life, 144. New FICA, 11,685. New Medicare, 2,733. And new retirement, $24,029.
And new benefits total?
Benefits total is $94,981, 94981. And then just to skip back up, the new salaries total is $188,463, 188,463.
Okay. Any other questions on? Well, I know what I had on the fuel dispensing system. I'm assuming that, I forgot to ask this when we met, that's an end of the year certification on the fuel dispensing system. It looks like.
Yep, I believe we just
There's an annual
completed that.
fuel
We're just waiting
island.
for the invoice to be processed at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. New mechanics garage total?
$300,844.
I will move that number, $300,844.
Second.
Amanda Kelly seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And just for discussion purposes, do we have a new total public works budget?
$6,543,402. 6543402.
And what's the percentage on that?
0.89%.
0.89.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm incorrect. I was pulling it off of the
So
preliminary
four, is
budget.
it 4.2?
I'm like, that seems
No, it's
really-
good.
That seems
That's
good.
great.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
folks.
I like that algorithm.
2020.
Now let's work backwards.
That'd be mine now. We're in the ball.
4.23. Not quite as rosy as 0.89, I guess.
The 0.89 was additive. Okay, there were a couple of vehicles that we'll be discussing during CIP night. The first one on page, it's actually on page 22 and on page 60. It's discussed as part of the MS4, the general nitrogen, Great Bay General Nitrogen Permit, which is the primary reason for getting the street sweeper. We use it almost every day to comply with the permit. It's been on the deferment list. It was on the deferment list for 2 years, and it did not pass as a warrant article earlier this year. As mentioned, that even though it's 10 years old, it has almost 7,000 hours on it, which is a pretty heavy-duty usage for a piece of equipment in a corrosive environment. So the subcommittee supported this purchase. If you could read that in the CIP book before CIP night. And the other item is on page 62, truck 52 replacement. It's over 10 years old. It's a frontline snow removal vehicle with a lot of miles on it. And the executive team is suggesting that this vehicle be purchased out of the general fund balance. So it would not be a current tax impact. It would be due to monies already received. The subcommittee supported that decision. And there are no bond and warrant articles for the Public Works this year. So that is our report. And thank you to Steve and your staff for sitting with us and going through a fairly complicated item list. And hope things work out.
Two things to note on the vehicles. We did reapply for an SRF grant for the sweeper. We were notified that we did get that. I don't have the principal forgiveness number in front of me, but there is a portion of principal forgiveness on that project. Also, there is an error on the sheet for the dump truck. That is supposed to be an $85,000 figure, not a $75,000.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a warrant article.
In the top, yeah, it looks like it wasn't corrected down here though, so. top of the CIP sheet, it was correct, Corey, but down below, it hadn't been updated.
Okay. So, next week, next Wednesday at 6:30, we'll be hearing from Chris Suter and her subcommittee of Parks and Rec, Library, and Welfare and Human Services. We'll get a report sometime early next week to review, but we'll be meeting her at 6:30 next Wednesday, the 5th of November. Any further comments or issues to discuss?
Before we began, I was asking Steve about the pipeline for future workers, and that's something that they've been talking about. You're thinking perhaps of working with SST to have one of their learning streams be public works or environmental science or something along that line.
We actually talked about that at the subcommittee level a little bit, trying to reach that next generation of employees. Our department as a whole has an average age of, I think it's 54 or 56 years old at this point. So we're going to face some challenges moving forward. We're definitely going to need to look to bring in, as I said, that next generation. SST would be a resource for us, but I think, we're happy now that we have a full-time HR director on board to be able to do some more proactive outreach. As I said, we're not seeing the applicants that we have in the past, so I think the onus is going to be on us to go out and try to seek out those people. So we're happy to have that support.
Just an update, so on the sweeper, the forgiveness amount, as long as we jump through all the hoops, is $72,000 on $412,000 of borrowing. So that's good.
Nice.
17%.
72, you said?
17%, sorry.
72,000
That's correct, yes.
forgiveness? Okay. Motion to adjourn for this evening.
So moved.
Judy moves.
Second.
Chris Suter seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
That's a second.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV,